glass of wine. I wanted to thank you all for the panel for Saturday. I don't know, where are you in the audience here? Are you all here? I just wanted to say thank you. I was really touched by everything that you shared, and I just wanted to introduce myself really. So I'm a transracial adoptee myself. I'm about 30 years older than you guys, and when I was in my early 20s, I was in a similar situation to you where I would speak on a panel and talk about my experiences. But I suppose what I really wanted to talk about tonight was how different it is for us as we age and go through life and go through life's experiences. So when we get married, when we have children of our own, you know, all of those momentous moments in life, adoption will always rears its head. So we're never really separated from our adoptions. It will always be there. And I come from a generation where adoption was kind of forced upon our mothers. I'm transracially adopted, as I've already said. So my mother was from Kuwait. She came to this country. She was forced by her society to leave me here and then go back. And there are many adoptees of my age who were also forced by their mothers to leave them. I'm with a group of ladies here at the back who are transracially adopted, and I'm also with a group of ladies at the back who are domestically adopted. Raise your hands, come on. You younger generation, we all hold you. We're all here to be with you and to say to you that, you know, it's really important that you hear our stories, that we can guide you, that we can help you. I grew up pretty much like most of you when you were talking on Saturday. I was raised in a small white rural community. I felt very out of place. I suffered an immense amount of racism. I felt extremely isolated, alienated, unwanted. What's wrong with me? Why can't I be accepted by society? And I do respect the fact that I grew up in a different generation where racism was pretty prevalent back then in the 70s. I was born in 68. But it doesn't mean that racism has gone, or racism still exists, you know. Yeah. We're very aware of it. It's there. It's very subtle, but it's still there today. And so I didn't have the opportunity to feel proud about my race because I didn't have any role models around me that mirrored me, that taught me to be proud of who I was and what I looked like. And that had a huge psychological effect on me growing up. And when I was 16, I grew up in foster care and I was adopted by my foster mother at the age of 16. And that's when I learned the truth about my identity and my biological background. And I didn't have support back then, as many from our generation, we didn't have the support that you guys have. And I was kind of left to get through life somehow. And I was made to feel grateful all the time. And even I was grateful that I was grateful, if that makes sense. And I think that you should, well, should isn't the wrong word to use, but I just feel that society puts a lot of pressure on us to be grateful for our adoptions, to be grateful that we were saved, and they don't talk a lot about how we got to the place that we're at and the loss that we've experienced in our lives. And we have experienced such a loss, and I think that needs to be recognised. And I'm so pleased that guys like you are having the counselling that funded for you, but our generation didn't get that. We didn't get that counselling, and most of us are still fighting for therapy. I'm still fighting for therapy that's not funded by any social services or organisation, and we struggle as adults. And many adult adoptees have committed suicide because they struggle so much with their mental health, and it's not recognised because that adoption trauma and that loss of our birth families is never really recognised. Specifically for transracial adoptees, you know, we've lost our cultures, we've lost our languages. I mean, it really touched me when you were sharing about looking like the maid. That really touched me because I know what that feels like, to feel like a white English person inside, because that's how I was raised. but on the outside I'm seen as a foreigner. Even Ukrainians and Polish people are accepted more than I am, because on the outside I'm seen as different, and I was born here and grew up here. So we're constantly facing racism. And I suppose what I really want to say is, you know, it never leaves us. It never leaves us. And it will always be with us. And we have to learn to integrate that loss, search for what we need to search for to feel whole inside. Because maybe today your birth family is not so relevant because you're being told it's not relevant, or maybe you don't want to upset people. But it's not about upsetting other people, because we're always taught to put other people first. We live our life for pleasing other people. We don't want to upset our adoptive families. We don't want to upset our birth families. But we can't live all of our life like that. We need to live our life where we put ourselves first, because if we don't, it will never leave us. You know, and it's quite sad that we're raised that way, to believe that our parents gave us away because they loved us so much. And then we start to recognize love as rejection, and it affects our relationships, because we think, oh, if we were loved so much, we were rejected by the first person in our life who was meant to love us and be there for us, then all of our life we have to associate love with rejection. So we either reject ourselves, or we get into relationships where other people reject us. So I just want to encourage you, younger generation here today, that I'm here, I'm 54 years old, there's a number of ladies here at the back, we're all of a certain age, as I say, 40s, 50s. We've been there, we've done that, we're here for you. I'm a co-founder of an organisation called the Adult Adoptee Movement. You can find us online. There's a various number of resources that you can go to for help, support. I'm also a founding member of the TAN, which is called the Transracial Adult Adoptee Network, and it's a peer support group for transracial adoptees, and we should be having a meeting in June, and you're very welcome to come along to that. So I just want to say, celebrate yourselves.